Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, good evening if you're on the East Coast with me. My name is Adam Thursby. I am your host tonight for, well, I'm one of your hosts, I guess, the main host. I'm gonna try and steer this ship with a whole bunch of people here. Welcome to Recovery Drive at Box3 Motorsports. We're going to talk about last week's race at the Nürburgring. We're going to talk about what's coming up. I don't even know what race that is. I got to figure it out by looking at the schedule. But joining me tonight, let's walk through it on video with us. Adam Willie is there on your screen joining us. Mr. B. Fife himself, the Xbox connoisseur, is going to talk a little bit about the Xbox. Going to make it his way to PC very soon. But that's not it. Joining us via satellite on audio, Justin Seckham, one of our drivers here at Box3 Motorsports, and Mr. Anthony Anderson, and along with our returning member, Radian Lloyd Davis. We've got a whole bunch of people here to talk tonight. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, because if any of you drivers are watching, which I'm sure you are, you know that the Nürburgring was not the best race of this season so far at Box3 Motorsports, at least when it came to certain splits. So let's get into it a little bit. First of all, I want to bring up Fife. Where did Xbox race this week, and how did that go for you guys over there?
Good. We raced at Spa. We had a 90-minute race. It's kind of our one long race that we do each season.
Awesome.
And yeah, we only had one incident that was caused by like hardware issues. Their wheel went out, and so their car just coasted straight. right across the main straight on Spa and caused a little fender bender. So, but yeah, other than that, it was a solid race.
Awesome. I like to hear it. And you know, it's kind of sad because with the spectator view screwed up on Xbox still. I think, Fife, am I right by saying that it's still kind of screwed up?
It's if you want to be able to change camera views, then yes, it's still screwed up.
Okay,
if you're fine with the default camera, then it technically works.
That's the problem, is though we don't have any highlights from the race, any of those things. It is on SimGrid, however. We could bring that up and talk about it here in just a few moments, as we look to talk about all the standings, which we will do. But one of the things I wanted to bring up first was this week's race at the Nürburgring. We're gonna get to the AM and Pro-Am race, but I really wanted to showcase this up front, and it's all because of Adam Willie that we're going to showcase this, because he brought it up. So we're focused on his car right here. This is the start of the Pro and Silver race at the Nürburgring. These boys decide we're going to go 4 wide, and that is where we started this week's race at the Nürb. It is just off the chain, and I just had to highlight that right out the gate. So let's talk a little bit about, now, Willie, you, Anderson, Justin, are you in, I don't remember splits. So are you in the Pro or Silver class?
I'm in the Pro-Am.
You're in the Pro-Am. Okay, so we're going to hold off on you right now, but let's talk to Willie and let's talk to Anderson about this this Pro and Silver class race, because this was just a mess. It was a show from T1, and that play was actually from before T1. Right? So it was even worse. Like, we didn't even get into T1 before we had problems. What happened this week? Why did this go down?
Well, you got the other person, not me, in the chat too. He's kind of hiding right now.
Davies was in Lamborghini. Yeah, I was involved in that little incident. At the start line.
Well, right here, if we look, hold on, I'm going to back it up, and I hope you guys are watching the stream. We're going to back this up. Do you see right here? Do you see the Mercedes that went off into the grass?
Oh, that one's almost me.
That's what started it. And I'm not calling anyone out. I'm not focusing. I'm not going to change focus on cars during these highlights. What I'm saying is I watched some of these to grab some incidents from the race so that stewards could have some, because they weren't reported. This is what started it. He dipped a toe into, and we're going to back it up 5 seconds, and you'll see him come down here, but he dipped it. All it took was a toe dip into the grass right there. And watch as this comes across. It's probably going to miss a lot of it, but you see the 188 car, everybody's across turn 1, and I'll go back and grab it during the full race. Right now is just highlights. But overall, this harkens back to the early season 4 races of Pro and Silver drivers feeling like they got to make every gap that they find in front of them, and it caused a lot of problems this week. Would you guys agree with that, having been in the race? Would you agree with that? Were either of you the cause of one of those? Is it? I'm asking.
Okay. I was just going for a chill Sunday drive like I normally do, because Thursday before the race, I actually had surgery.
Yep. Okay.
And I wasn't planning on trying to do anything big.
What about you, Anderson? What did you see during the course? Because I think you did relatively well. I mean, we should have brought up standings first and how the results were. But everybody in the league knows, and let's face it, that's who's watching this show right now. The people in the league are the ones watching this show. They know what happened during the course of this race. What are your feelings on it? What happened, and why did this happen this week? Because we didn't see this in the previous 3 races.
I mean, honestly, I think it's just unfortunate. I don't think it was necessarily someone trying to ultimately send it. It just seemed like you said, this one touch of the grass, and all of a sudden it kind of yeeted him into the wall a little bit, or closer to the wall in the grass. And once you're at that position, it's just impossible to slow the car down. You're just going to hit someone. I feel for Lewis on that one, because it seemed like there wasn't going to be too much carnage. Everyone was slowing down appropriately. Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
It was pretty brutal in the T1. So Go ahead.
I was actually watching the replay of this on Sunday, and the Mercedes actually hit a bump in the service road on the way down to T1, which set his car he was a passenger at that point.
It was, and you know, we can talk a lot about Retro Coffin's incident at Watkins Glen last season, right? Everybody knows it. Everybody in the league knows that incident and what it caused. He became a passenger in that car. And you're right, it was the same thing. We saw a toe dip, you know, that bump and the toe dip into the grass, and after that, it was all over. There was nothing he was going to do to try and stop that vehicle whatsoever. It's just a shame that it scooped up so many people and really looked just brutal as we watch those replays.
Well, to be fair, if you watch the replay again, it does look like the grass has grown a little too tall, and I think he was just concerned. Wanted to mow it down some.
Well, let's take a, you know what? I don't remember what car number that is, but we're gonna find it. Let's go to the race, and let's just go look at what all this caused, because there is a ton of it there. From the review that I did of the clip, trying to find, and there we go. We're gonna go back, and we're gonna pause that up, and let's change cameras first as we find this. See if we can catch this a little better.
You also need to take a look at
Look,
Paul Morris.
Look, there's our boy Adam Willie still parked backwards on the straight before the green light. Whoever's got their speaker on, you just turn it off too. I can hear myself. So right there, we see the slide into the grass. Let's back it up to that 5 seconds. He drifts out wide, out to the outside. But why? So right here, why so far? And Justin, if you could silence the stream, buddy, I'd appreciate it.
I was wondering who that was.
Nope, you're good. So right here is where he catches that to Fife's point. He bounces, or I'm sorry, to Justin's point. He bounces and then comes down into the grass. And as you said, he becomes a passenger. And that is where the carnage begins. Now, my favorite here is, I believe this is the 992 car in the grass at the bottom of your screen. This is my favorite because listen, he 100% admitted to this, right? The guy who did this 100%, and I'm not going to call him out. He 100% admitted to this, where if you watch, he cuts across, look at him coming in. He cuts across the corner to say, I'm not getting anywhere near these people, and ends up hitting somebody anyway.
Yeah, the two Porsches, the only two Porsches on track come together.
Right?
He hit somebody into somebody else too. Oh, that's great.
So
like,
it was
it was. The premise is there. It's like trying to avoid the whole carnage, but I don't think he expected to see another car there.
You're right, Davis. He 100%, and he admitted to it. He said, you know, oh, that was, you know, me screwing up. I was trying to stay out of the way, and the guy just showed up in front of me. So it's one of those things. But I just wanted to highlight that up front as just kind of what happened during this Nürburgring race. So let's talk about it. Fife, you up first. How do you feel about the Nürburgring? Is this one of your, do you enjoy this track, favorite track, not a favorite track? Do you hate it? What's up with the Nürb?
I really like it. I like driving on it. I feel like I am not as fast on it as I am on other tracks. I'm probably middle of the road there. But it's a really fun track to drive, so it's not, I don't mind it.
All right, very good. What about you, Mr. Seckham? How do you feel about the Nürburgring?
I love it. It's one of my favorite tracks. I actually did the week before, I did a 2-hour two-man swap with Track Delicious, so I kind of had a little bit of experience going into the race.
Okay. Excellent. Anderson?
I mean, it seemed to work out well for me. I got a P3 finish last week. Admittedly, it's not one of my favorite tracks, but it seems to be a consistent track for me, which is more important than overall pace, I feel like. So that worked out for me.
All right. What about you, Adam? How do you feel about the Nürb? Not about your performance this week, because you were wiped out before the start finish line. I'm talking about overall. Do you enjoy the Nürburgring?
It's definitely not one of my strong tracks, yeah. Definitely room for improvement.
Gotcha. And how about you, Mr. Davis? How do you feel about the Nürburgring?
To be honest, I really don't like it.
Don't like it. You know, it's so funny.
Nürburgring.
Now, you guys have to understand, the reason I went through and asked each one of you how you felt about Nürb was because every week, and I'm going to do this every week, is because every week I watch the Discord and I see the conversations. Oh my God, I hate this track. Oh my God, this is the best track ever. Right? Like, it is such a divisive thing, the actual track we're driving on from week to week. I think it's fantastic to hear people's reasoning behind why they love or hate a certain track. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of opinions as we talk about what's coming up next week for PC ACC racing. It's not.
People have opinions about the one the week before last week.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah, absolutely they did.
But I can back that up because I absolutely dislike Brands Hatch, but at the same time I know I'm really good at it. It's just I don't like the type of racing it brings. I feel like it's very like one-dimensional. There's not really a whole lot of overtaking, in my opinion, except for like a couple places.
Yeah, but isn't that every British track?
Yeah.
That is partially true.
They're so narrow, and Brands being one of the wider ones, right? Like, I mean, I think Brands is more standard width than some of the other, like we're going to talk about Oulton Park here in just a bit. But yeah, it's still I find it hard to find overtaking positions on any of those British tracks because of how wide they are, more than anything else.
See, I really liked Brands Hatch, but I did very poorly because I got punched twice. Hold on. By the same person.
Well, maybe avoid that person going forward. Let's just...
Oh, don't tell me it was me. It wasn't me again.
No, it was not.
Okay. Just checking.
I feel like turn 1 at Brands Hatch is such a satisfying corner when you nail it, though. Like that downhill right-hander. When you nail it and carry that speed out, that's so satisfying.
And then you end up with a really unsatisfying hairpin at the end, and just coming up next and it's like, oh, all this speed for nothing.
Right. But would you, I mean, so Pipe, would you compare that to like an Al Rouge at Spa? Kind of the same. If you could rip that thing, you know, no lift and rip that thing, would you? It kind of feels the same way.
To a lesser degree, yeah. I feel like when you mess up on that corner at Brands Hatch, you're pretty much just going to understeer wide. But on Spa, if you mess up, you're either going, 300 miles to the right straight into a guardrail, or you're hitting the tar wall on the left.
Gotcha.
So I feel like Spa is sketchier, but similar feeling. That's fair.
All right, very good, guys. Well, let's take a look at the standings after this race. I mean, let's take a look at the race first. Start with our AM results from the Nürburgring. Bruce Hopkins brings it home in the AM class. Jester Flume and Kenny O'Connor in the top 3. Stephen Music, Matthew Gibbons in the top 5. Frank Reynolds, the Warthog, G. Kuba, Kirk McDaniels, and Terrell Sains-Taylor in the top 10. Chief Blaze not showing up. Only 10 drivers in the AM class, so top 10 finishes for all, even for Chief Blaze, who lost 5 points for not showing up this week. Moving on to Pro-Am in this class. Justin brings it home. He's with us this week. Edward Walsh in second. Burke Beat in third. Josie Austin, Steve Tomaszek finish out the top 5. Cardoso, Robert Hepburn, your boy Blue, Alex Martin, and Bob Charlton for the top 10. Kozubski, Zwanenberg, Jonendijk, and finish out the rest of it. Kevin Silvares not showing this week. So, Justin Sacombe, how did it feel? How did it feel this week? Finishing that race in first. We lose Justin?
Nope, I'm here.
Okay.
Nope, I'm here.
How was that win at the Nürburgring?
That was probably one of my better races I've had, other than Spain. I was kind of kicking myself qualifying P3, but I knew if I can get ahead of Burke Beak, and it was just going to be a race between me and Charlton. So I fortunately got him in the T1, 2, and 3 in the second lap, and I knew I had the pace to just drive off, and I was kind of checking on everybody's times, and I was kind of at least a half second faster than everybody on a consistent basis.
Yeah, you were. I mean, we looked there. If you look at the best lap for yourself compared to Edward Walsh, 155.495 to 155.947. So yeah, about a half a second up. Just looking at the best lap, not averages across the whole thing. But Bob Charlton taking a dip, coming in P10, really got hung up in this race.
He and Burke got it tangled up into the second hairpin. So, really kind of unfortunate for them. I would really love to see a nice battle between me and Charlton, because I think that'll give some good racing.
Yeah, no, Charlton always provides that, but yeah, got shunked back this time. But that allowed you, I mean, I'm not saying that allowed you to win, but Charlton is pretty quick, so you were able to stay up front for this race, so good job there. Let's take a look at our silver class for the NERB. Brandon Walworth wins out Timothy Glendenning and Mike Burkhoff in the top three. Nikolai Tsiebuk with a top 5 finish. Don't usually see Nikolai this high. And his partner, because these guys are running the same livery, I got to imagine their teammates, Igor Kornikov, Matt Comiskey, Louis Ricard, Jason Woolworth, and there is Mr. Ridian Lloyd Davis and Rick Pixel rounding out your top 10. Davis, happy with this finish, with a 9th place finish this week?
Yeah, I think it was probably about as good as I could have gotten, considering the disaster of a start I had. And the first race I haven't. This is my first race driving the Lamborghini as well. The listings are incorrect there, so it says BMW, but I'm in the Lambo at the moment. Yeah, it was very much a recovery race after coming in contact with Adam at the start of the race. So, actually, all things considered, I am quite happy with them.
Very good. And well, and again, you had a quali ban, right, for changing cars this week. So yeah, so given that a top 10 finish, that's nothing to sneeze at. Given who else was on track, Adam Willey out there, Rob Keesar, Nick Packwood, George Garton, and Josh Harrison.
Although Garton
and Harrison not on track.
I do feel like my position was a little bit. What's the word I'm looking for? I feel like it's a bit of a cheat, because the pros all kind of took themselves out in that race.
No.
So we finished. I finished a lot higher than I expected.
Well, but hold on. Remember, you're 9th in class, right? That's a 9th place finish in class for this race, not overall.
That's true. Okay, yeah.
So I don't know where you finished overall. I don't pay attention to it because in class is what matters, right? So I don't really pay attention to overall. But a 9th place finish in class, given again a qualifying ban, Willie taking you out before the start finish line at the beginning of the race. He can make his faces. You make your faces. Make your faces. We saw what happened. Okay.
Credit where credit's due. It was my fault. I put my hands up. I shouldn't have gone for that move. I got nervous. I twitched, and I caused a bit of that mess. I suppose I feel a little bit. I feel like I could have done better, because I know at my best I'm as fast as Searbuck.
Yeah.
So I felt like I could have probably gotten 5th, but beggars can't be choosers.
Well, again, you made a car change, so that's going to set you to the back right away. And to be honest, Tsiebuk and Kornikov were just messing with each other this entire race. We saw a couple of times in the highlights. These guys were neck. I don't know if it was. I don't know if Darius in the chat. Please stop. Don't. It's not. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not gonna. Yeah. I'm just gonna delete that. It's because it's one of those things.
Thank you.
Okay. Don't be weird. You're welcome to come in and hang out with us, but don't be weird. Tsiebuk and Kornikov were literally on top of each other this entire race. It was insane. They're running the same livery. They've got to be teammates in other places, right? But it seemed like they just spent the race screwing with each other, because one would get ahead and then they back and forth. And I like Nikolai Tsiebuk. I love watching him race. Kornikov is a little newer to the league, but watching these guys go back and forth this whole race was actually quite enjoyable. So I hope they keep it up for the rest of the season. Go ahead.
Pixel's right. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have a quali ban this time. I just did terribly.
Oh God! So there was no quali ban this race. Okay.
No, my qualifying pace is terrible anyways.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Okay. But you know what? You still, I mean, pulling in the top 10, that's not unrespectable to be up there in the top 10 for the 4th race of the season. Let's take a look at our pro drivers. Tom Foose taking it at this week.
You didn't even get down to me.
What do you mean?
No, I'm sad.
What? I did get down to you.
Well,
let's go back to
it's silver.
Let's go back to silver.
Yeah.
You were
Read the last 3. Yeah.
Well, you were, but let's be fair. Okay, so you did this to yourself. I'm just going to remind you right now that you did this to yourself. Adam Willey finished 13th, meaning he finished dead last because Garton and Harrison were not on track if you look at your screen right now.
Hey, I finished ahead of those 2. Doesn't matter.
You did because they weren't there.
You technically also finished ahead of Molson.
Yeah, you finished ahead of me too. Is that
I forget that you qualified for
just
this
remember
season.
you did this to yourself because I was moving on and you brought me back to look at this, so you got what you deserve this time. Okay.
I will say this: I do think that I could have possibly got a top 10 finish this race.
If Davis had not taken you out, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. But you know what? Davis took you. Hold on though. Davis took you out. He took you out.
Actually.
But hold on, he took you out, he wrecked himself, and he was able to finish in the top 10, so why couldn't you?
You had a few more incidents, though, didn't you, Adam?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Taken out or caused? Caused by you or caused by someone else?
Okay, the first one. That's all we're talking about right now, okay? I was taken out.
Okay.
I'm sure I saw you spinning a couple of times. Just saying.
Hey, I did race Morris for a little bit, and I did enjoy that. Like, we were actually racing for overall position, so I did have fun there.
Very good. Let's take a look at pro. Sorry, go ahead, Davis. What were you saying?
One more thing about the silver races, and Pixels just brought it up. I feel so sorry for him. The only reason I got 9th and not 10th is because I think he ran out of fuel or came very close to running out of fuel on the last lap, so I got an extra place there. Poor guy.
Unbelievable. Let's take a look. Take a look at the pro standings at the end of, or I'm sorry, the results from race 4 at the Nürburgring. Tom Foose brings it home this week in pole position. Jake Wells, Anthony Anderson, there he is. He's with us tonight via audio on the top 3. Justin Van Weiser and Alejandro Aguilar in the top 5. Paul Morris, Tobias Gable, Jarrett Skinner, Wyardi Rombouts, Charlie Tooth from Australia rounds out your top 10 for this race. Nathan Edwards, Remco Ottens, all of them not qualifying. Only 10 drivers actually participating this week in the pro class. As we move over towards standings now, Anderson, what do you think? How'd you feel with a podium?
I mean, a podium's a podium. I'm never really going to say no to it. I just missed out on an opportunity for P2. Jake beat me out of the pit. He did a really good undercut, but I went with the strategy knowing that he was going to do the undercut, and went for a really late pit and tried to catch back up using fresh tires, which was about to work until I dipped the toe into the grass and lost all the progress that I made. So it is what it is. At that point, I just kind of brought her home and took the P3. But it was a good fight going into the last, I believe it was like the last 8 laps or so when I was right behind him. But yeah, a podium's a podium. Can't say no.
Still happy with your race this week, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Overall? Okay, very good. Let's go through the standings. After 4 races for the season, we're going to get to how many are left after this. But 4 races down. Let's look at AM class real quick first. Jester Flump leads in AM class, but not by much. Bruce Hopkins, had he not missed round 2, would probably be up there given his pace. 166 to 160 points. Steven Music running in 3rd. Kenny O'Connor in 4th. Frank Reynolds, the Warthog himself, in the top 5. Jace Wright, Darrell Sainz-Taylor, Chi Kuba, and John Rulin, and Matthew Givens rounding out the top 10 in AM class. Get over to Pro AM. Justin is leading it out. He's with us tonight. 173 to 155 points over Gian Cardoso. Doing very well, sir. You're leading the season. 2 first place finishes, a third. You're on a podium, so you're on podium for 3 out of 4 races. What happened at Brands Hatch? 12th
I
place.
just didn't have the pace in qualifying, and then I actually got hit about 2 or 3 laps in by somebody that actually put on dry tires, and that just kind of ruined my race, and just kind of stuck it out at the back.
Gotcha. But you know what? Overall, though, I mean, again, if we look at 2 first place finishes plus a third, that 1 race gets discounted for the season. If you continue with this pace, you're really looking at running the Pro-Am for the remainder of this season, depending on how the rest of the races go. If we look at Josie Austin down here with a first place finish, Bob Charlton with a first place finish, but since then has not been wickedly consistent. I don't know if that's Charlton getting tangled up in business that he has not caused. I know Charlton typically a very clean driver, but I have to say he's probably getting wrapped up in something else, but hopefully he can bring it back a little bit, maybe gain some points in the last half of the season. But Justin leading out over Gian Cardoso and Steven Tomazic in the top 3. Edward Walsh, Josie Austin doing great this season in the top 5. Hepburn, Charlton, Burke Beat, Tristan Jonendijk, and your boy Blue leading out the top 10. Alex Martin sitting there just outside in P11. Zwanenberg, Kazubski, and Maria Kroyach. Oh God, every time Maria's here.
Kryushkova.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Kryushkova.
You're gonna have to go slower.
Oh, Kryushkova.
Kryushkova. Thank you. Maria Kryushkova has shown up for 2 races. Could be doing a lot better if she was here for more. So hopefully comes back for the rest of the season. And we get a few more folks lined up for the Pro-Am. Let's move on to silver standings after 4 races this season. Timothy Glendening, who, it's weird because I know Timothy's been in our races. I've seen him out there. We talk about him once in a while. But he's never... I want to say he's not involved in a lot, right? He's not involved in a lot of battles. Kind of just flies under the radar, but yet is winning after 4 rounds of this season. He's currently in first place with 170 points over 155 over Mr. Louis Ricard. But we don't... Am I wrong in that? If you guys watch... I know you guys watch the races. I know you guys are racing. Am I wrong in that to think that we don't see a lot of Glendening on stream and on the races?
I think you're...
Oh, no, I'm usually in the back.
Yeah, I think you're just spot on. Like, he just flies under the radar, but he's consistent, though. That's the key.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't... It's his own race, right? He doesn't really catch anybody, but yet nobody can catch him, so we don't see a lot of passing opportunities there, and it's working for him. Round 2, obviously, a bit of a problem finishing P13, but other than that, a first place and 2 second place finishes really says Glendening is just beating it this season and is doing very well. Louis Ricard in second. Gasolina missed the last race. I think he's going to miss some more, so we're probably going to see him drop. I think he has to be away for real life business. So we might see Gaz drop off that podium spot very quickly. Mike Burkhoff in 4th, Igor Kornikov in 5th, Matt Comiskey, Nikolai Tsiabuk, Rob Kesar, Brandon Walrath, Kevin Rivera disqualified. I'm not sure why it says that. We'll find out. But Davis right outside the top 10. And Adam Willey sitting in P15 right now. So, boys, what are we going to do to pick it up this season?
We are going to have a top 5 finish at Alton Park. That's what we're going to do.
Oh, you all heard it here first.
Is that a guarantee, or...
Hold on, you heard it here first. Top 5 finish at Alton Park for Adam Willey.
In silver.
In silver.
Not overall.
Well, no, of course, in silver, in class, right? Top 5 finish for Adam Willey. We'll check next week whether or not that happened. What about you, Davis? What are you going to do next? What are you going to do for the rest of the season to kind of pick it up a little bit?
Survive. knowing the tracks that are coming: Alton Park, Indianapolis, and Bathurst. 3 tracks I have never completed a race at. It'd be a miracle if I
listen.
do well.
Okay, so let me give you some help. Indianapolis, I can't help with. Alton Park, it's a British track. It's bumpy. Just keep it on the road. When it comes to Bathurst, just don't bounce it off the walls on your way down the mountain. You'll be fine. That's all you got to do.
Just don't show up.
No, you got to show up. It's Bathurst.
I'm going to show up.
I found that you actually do consistent times if you don't bounce off the wall.
Yeah.
Now you see, I hadn't thought of that. No, it's a question. It's a question of whether I can keep it out of the wall using a controller.
Oh, that's right. You do race controller, don't you? I forgot about that.
I do.
You do.
Yeah, like Indianapolis.
do you really?
Yeah. I'm not too frightened about Indianapolis. It's but Bathurst. Oh my god.
I'm not gonna lie.
Hill.
Indianapolis is the one track that I absolutely hate. Every other
Thank you.
track, I either am not a fan of or I like it. Indianapolis, I just hate.
I maintain. I've said this before. I've said this before on the Discord, but I will maintain that Indianapolis is the Snetterton of America. It's bad.
It's doing a disservice to Snetterton, and I don't even like Snetterton.
Yeah,
Right,
well,
Snetterton I hate.
Something I
So-
will say about next week's race, just in general. I think there's going to be people who will be surprisingly quick at Alton Park, because I was doing practice earlier on, and Scenes Taylor, who I think is in AM,
Mm-hmm.
is the other in AM or Pro Am, is faster than me.
Oh, wow.
He's doing times
Wow.
that I would say is sort of like top of silver around
Okay.
Alton
Yeah,
Park.
especially he's either around the times that I have been doing or just slightly faster
Man,
than
I'm
the
gonna
times
tell you
that I've been
something.
doing it all.
Yeah.
Pharrell Staines Taylor. I love this guy. This guy's been around for a long time in the league. He's been here from about the beginning. Seems to struggle. But you know what? And this is what I love about him. He reminds me of myself, and I know I don't really race with the league because I'm doing coverage of the races and things like that. So I don't have time to race. I don't have opportunity to race because I'm doing other things during races. He reminds me of myself though, where he's like, I'm just out here to have fun, and he shows up and he sticks it out for every race and just tries to not cause problems. I really love seeing him on track. It's fantastic to me. People like myself who go out and go, well, I'm not going to win, but you know what? I'm here and I'm going to finish this thing. I don't care that I'm not going to win. I'm just going to stick around. And so, yeah, if he's doing faster than you guys, fantastic. I hope we see him in the top in a top 5 or even a podium finish this week
Yeah.
at Alton Park.
I
coming
really
up.
want to
think
see him
it'd be
do
great.
well.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about pro standings real quick as we wind this down before we talk about Alton Park. Jake Wells leading out right now in the pro standings. Anthony Anderson in second. Charlie Tooth from Australia is in third. That's our podium. Tobias Gable. But if you look at that podium, I want to say, I mean, Wells is leading out pretty well, but there's only 5 points between Charlie and Anthony. So this is going to get tight for the rest of this season. We'll talk about that in a second. Tobias Gable in fourth, Tom Foose in fifth overall. Aguilar, Arumbouts, Jarrett Skinner, Paul Morris, and Delilah Hazel rounding out the top 10. Now, Delilah has missed the last 2 races. We'll see if she comes back for any more. I'm not sure if she'll be back with us. I hope so. I love watching Hazel race. Just fantastic driver. Yeah. Great fun to watch. Hopefully we'll come back. Van Weiser, Rocco Lamlin, Steve Dunn, John Tracy, Dan Gleeballs. Yeah, I didn't want to say that. I know who it is. But they're disqualified anyway. Finally got me to say it. Nathan has Red Bull odds. Finish this out. So, Anderson, let's talk to you for just a moment about this. You're in second. What's going to keep you there? Because, again, Charlie Booth nipping at your heels, only 5 points down. And at the same time, you're only 26 points. I mean, that's 1 race away from Jake Wells. Where are you going to find... What are you going to do for the rest of this season to keep yourself on a podium finish for the season?
Well, I feel pretty confident with Alton. I'm not going to share my times publicly, but I've got some pace around Alton Park.
Okay.
However, the wild card is absolutely going to be Indianapolis. I've never done an official race in GT3s. I've always done it in some other class. So that one's going to be a bit tricky to figure out. And then Bathurst is always just swallowing people up. So I think when it comes to Bathurst, I just kind of need to hope that Charlie Tooth or Jake Wells gets into a little bit of wall drama, which can help me because my pace is okay there. I wouldn't say it's like, blistering fast, but as long as I can keep it between the walls and not in the wall, I think I can at least hold that podium.
Gotcha. All right, we'll see what happens. Again, folks, if we take a quick look here, and I gotta zoom this out just a little bit in front of y'all, just so that we don't make it look really weird. Race 4 is completed at the Nürburgring. Race 5 coming up is at Alton Park. We've still got Indianapolis and Bathurst left this season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Of the 3 races left, let me ask each one of you, and Fife, please join in this conversation, okay? I know you're an Xbox guy for now. You're coming over to PC. We're going to have you on PC all the time soon. Between Alton, Indianapolis, and Bathurst, each one of you, what's your favorite and what's your least favorite? Let's go. Davis, go first. What do you, I'm going to start at the top of the list in Discord. Davis, which one are you looking forward to? Which one are you saying, I could skip this race and be okay with it?
My favorite at the moment is surprisingly Alton Park. I've never driven it before, but after doing like a few hours of practice this week, I've actually really taken to it. I don't think I enjoy doing it in the Lamborghini as much, but in a car that has better rotation, then the Alton Park is a lot of fun.
Okay.
As for my least favorite track, it's Indianapolis. It's a ball fest. It's just so boring.
All right, gotcha. Anderson, what about you? Where are you going to land for these 3?
I think I'm in the same boat as what was it, Ridian?
Yeah.
So yeah, Indianapolis. Not looking forward to it. Like I said, I've never done GT3 racing there. I've always done, I believe it was the M2 during the NA Cup, and I think I also did a Cup car race there. But that's about all I've done. And then Alton Park, like I said, I feel confident in it. I've got pace there. I feel like I'm ready to go. So that's going to take my favorite.
Awesome. Willie, what about you?
Alton Park, hands down, favorite track. I've spent countless hours on iRacing on it, so I know the layout at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I do hate that it's extremely bumpy. That's the only downfall for me.
Okay.
And then absolute hate Bathurst.
Ooh,
Hate
spicy.
Bathurst.
I don't care what anybody says. I cannot make a
Hot
full
take alert.
Wow.
No, listen, I cannot make a full lap around Bathurst. I just can't do it.
I cannot wait for that race then. I just can't. I love Bathurst. I love driving it when I do it on my own or in a offline. It doesn't matter. Online race, offline race. I love it. And you know, that's not to say I'm good at it. I'm not going to say I'm good at it. What I'm saying is I love it, and I love it because when you hit it right, it feels like a dream, man. It's just fantastic when you take that dip down the hill. And any one of you guys can't argue with me on this show right now. When you make that clip from the top of the hill down through those corners, through the downhill, down to the hairpin at the bottom, and it just clicks, like that's 100%, right? Like that's why I can get why Bathurst would frustrate people, but to hate that track, man, if you make that downhill, you are just living the dream. That's what it's all about right there, right? Are you saying, but Willie, are you saying you can't make the downhill?
I can't make any of it.
Gotcha, okay.
So,
You can't even get up the hill to get to the downhill.
Yeah.
Right? I can't get up the hill to get to the down. Willie's tripping while he's carrying the sled up the hill to slide back down.
So I will say this: one of 2 things will happen. Either 1, I won't qualify and I'll start in the back, or 2, I'm just not going to show up.
Okay.
That's fair. There's one issue I do have with Bathurst as a track. I have to say I dislike it as well. I don't outright hate it, but it's not a very beginner-friendly track. All it takes is one person to spin at the top of the hill and across the track, and
Agreed.
you just stop the race.
100%. Yeah,
that's fair. If you hear yellow flag in sector 2 on that track, you need to pretty much come to a stop.
Down.
Yeah.
Because you and the problem is you can't see them, right? You're not going to know until you get there what's going on. So I can agree with that 100%. Oh, go ahead,
Sorry.
Davis. No,
just
go
one
ahead.
more, just one more thing. It reminds me of a race I did. This was back in my Project Cars 2 days. Somebody spun at the top of the hill the BMW M6, which is a very long car. They couldn't turn. It was across the track, and they were just going back and forward, back and forward. They could not get off that track.
It's
Looking
the
like
Austin
Austin
Powers
Powers,
Austin
right?
Powers, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Pixel-
hilarious to watch, but it's like, oh.
Pixel in the chat, Molson getting elevation excitement. He knows me. He knows me at this point. Bathurst, Spa, Brands Hatch. Let's go. If we're going up and down hills, let's go. This is going to be a blast. I want to do this, not just this. That's why Paul Ricard sucks. I don't care what anybody says. Fife, what about
Great.
you? And again, I know you're not racing right now. You're still on Xbox. You're coming over to us on PC. But between Alton Park, Indy, and Bathurst, where are you sitting? I want to know.
I think I've already made it clear how I feel about Indy. So Indy's easily bottom of those three. And I'd say Bathurst is easily number one for me. You get, like you said, the downhill section. When you nail that, feels perfect. And then, you got to love it when you come down the back straight halfway through the race and you realize you missed your braking point because someone took out the 150 marker.
Every time. Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
But yeah,
Every time.
Alton Park. I don't mind Alton Park. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I've had good races there. I've had boring races there. But Bathurst is always fun.
I will say, to Willie's point, Alton Park is a lot of fun in MX5s, in Formula Vs, and in TCRs. The GT3 cars just feel so fat on that track because it's so narrow that it makes it very hard to pass. It's hard to find zones. I don't like Alton Park in a GT3 car. In some of those smaller vehicles over in iRacing, which we're not going to talk about because everybody iRacing. But I enjoyed a lot more there. I can enjoy Alton Park there. It's very hard for me to enjoy in ACC because of the size of the GT3 cars. So
the curbs are also pretty aggressive there too.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 2 or 3 curbs that if you touch, you're done.
Yeah.
The GT4s are fun on it because they can be more aggressive over the curbs.
Yeah.
Excellent. Justin, how about you? What are you looking forward to and not looking forward to for the rest of the season?
Alton Park, I'm pretty pacey around there. But I think that's gonna be a struggle just because with every British track, you're gonna need to find a rhythm and find it fast, and then you need to keep up that consistency. Bathurst, I'm excited for because, like you said, once you hit that downhill and you just see that time just disappear, that's just one of the most satisfying feelings ever. So
It is.
I'm also doing the 12-hour on Saturday, so
very
that'll
good.
that'll be fun.
Lots of practice.
My plan is just don't die.
Solid.
But Indy first couple test runs looks like I'm gonna be pretty pacey there, hopefully. But it just seems like a meh track. Like you do need to find a rhythm because if you mess up one corner, then the next 6 are gone. But
Yeah.
Indy's gonna be a wild card for me.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. Well, we will see how the rest of the season plays out. Speaking of which, Justin brought it up this Saturday at 1 p.m. UTC, I believe, is a 12-hour at Bathurst race. 12 hours, and it was going to be covered here. However, Trackalicious is looking to throw down with it. So right there in your chat, if you want to go watch the 12 hours at Bathurst, I'll be watching instead of covering it. I'm actually going to watch it right over at Trackalicious. I just put the link in the chat for everybody. Make sure you go and catch that because those guys do great coverage. They're fantastic, and them being there to host this is going to be just awesome. And you get to watch Justin. He's going to roll through that race, and along with a couple other Box 3 drivers. I wish them all good luck. It's going to be weird. It's Bathurst, man. Anything can happen. One thing I wanted to bring up before we get over to the rig roast, which we're going to do before we close out the show, one thing I wanted to bring up with you guys is that I've noticed, and I talked to Phil Milwee, who has joined me on stream the last couple weeks, and who hopefully is going to become a major contributor to our coverage here at Box 3 Motorsports. Or is going to continue to, because he already has been a major contributor. I'm noticing a change from a year and a half ago when Box 3 started, season 1, 2, 3, and there's been a slow roll through season 4, and now he's in season 5. And I want you guys, I want all of your opinions on this. What I've noticed is in the first 3 seasons and maybe the first half of season 4, what I noticed as someone who was covering the races was that the first 15 minutes of a race were very hectic, a lot of battles, and then things kind of calmed down, right? Like everybody chilled out and had their pace and we didn't see a lot of battles. In the last half of season 4 and now into season 5, the battles are consistent and constant throughout the entirety of the race. Like it's very difficult sitting where I sit up in a booth watching this. The job has actually gotten more difficult because there are so many battles going on. Have you guys on track noticed that you are, and I don't know what the cause is. I don't know if it's better qualifying, right? The way we run qualifying and putting drivers in the right class. I don't know if it's that or if the drivers are getting better, if it's a combination of the two. What do you guys notice that on track, that there are constant battles throughout a race now? Or do you find more battles while you're driving?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think your point's correct. I think it's a case of people are getting faster.
Mm-hmm.
People are sort of like, I think everybody's sort of like they're racing with sort of everybody's helping each other get faster.
Mm-hmm.
And the community is helping people get faster. And yes, the way we do qualifying now is a lot more accurate than what it used to be.
Okay.
You do have a couple of outliers. Not naming names, but there's some people who are dominating their class and they shouldn't be.
I wonder what name you're referring to.
Yes, you know who I'm talking about. But other than that, yeah, there are fights everywhere, and I think like this season and last season, I've been constantly fighting with Kisea. It doesn't matter what race it is, I always end up in a fight with him, and I always have a great race with him.
Yeah,
and it's wonderful. It's really, really, wonderful.
And that I think is fantastic that we are bringing together, and I guess it speaks to this community, to this league, that we're figuring things out, right? It took some time. Obviously, we started again a year and a half ago, and he has eaten sour worms or something. I don't know what Willie is doing, but there are a lot of sour worms in that pile. That is just weird that you're like
I'm sorry.
you're plucking them off as if it's a sour worm tree. Can I see
like
the
a
bush
raccoon.
again? Can we see the bush? Look at that. Like they're all stuck together.
Hey,
These are the last ones too.
he was talking about not doing a race the other night because it was 8 o'clock and it's almost 9 o'clock my time right now. He's over here loading up on sugar with Mountain
He's
Dew
like
and
pumping sugar.
and gummy worms.
He's gonna be up for half the night practicing Alton Park.
Dude,
No,
listen,
but
this is the only day that I'm allowed to stay up late.
But I think it's great because again, I have a different perspective than you guys, right? I sit in a different position than all of you do who are driving. And it's just something that I noticed. And I think it's fantastic that we see these battles, and it's now there's nonstop action, where before it was easier, right? Because after 15 minutes, the race is set. I can just autopilot this nonsense and, take a break. There's so many more battles now. And I think it is a testament to, one, the drivers, while in hard competition, are also pushing each other to get better, and they work together. We see all that in the Discord as people talk after the races, but also the classification, I think, has really tightened up with using the servers to have people do hot laps and everything else across 2 different tracks and set times. I really think it's worked out well. So yeah, I was just curious because it sees, I think it seems like better racing now than it was, say, 2 seasons ago. And I wondered if you guys agreed with me.
Another thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Yep. I was gonna say another thing is you guys pretty sure got a few drivers from Xbox moving over there. I bet that's what made the difference.
It is. Fife, you're not wrong. Look, everybody should know B Fife is going to join the PC side here very soon. It's one of these things, like I would say another one is Charlie Tooth from Australia, right? He was one that came from Xbox over to PC. people discount because we have to run separate leagues and there's no cross-platform. People seem to forget that people like Charlie, people like Fife, they're fast. And they don't get slower because they came from a console, right? Like, it takes them maybe a week or so to understand the differences, because there are feeling differences there in the force feedback and everything else, right? So say it takes them a week of practice, but all of a sudden you're going to see a guy like Fife come over to PC, and the next thing you know, Fife's going to be, in our silver class or our pro class and starting to dominate. And we do see that transition. So you're not wrong, man. There have been guys that have come over that have been just fantastic coming from Xbox over to PC. So, yeah.
I also think the strategy is coming into play. Like, people are starting to figure out how to strategize a race.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're running low fuel, high fuel for your first stint, that's going to come into play down the road.
Yep.
So if you're pulling out your first stint because you're on lighter fuel, you're going to have the box earlier, and it's going to be the same thing in the second stint because you're on different strategies.
And we saw that during Brands Hatch with going from wet to dry. We saw that even during Nürburgring. There was a very close race. Honestly, I believe it was the Pro-Am class was determined by the pit stop. Literally by how long the pit stop took. We saw that several times this past weekend at Nürburgring. So, yeah, these strategies are, to your point, Justin, these strategies are starting to come into play for people. They're thinking more about, when do I go in? Do I undercut? Do I overcut? And can I hit my pit markers to get in and out? Because at that point, when you're only separated from another driver by 1.5 or 2 seconds, how quickly you hit that pit, it matters.
Oh, yeah.
It really matters. So 100%.
I'll be honest. As soon as we start the race, I'll just put on Lonely from Akon and enjoy my race.
Oh,
I do
man.
think for pro, I think there's a lot of people that talk to each other outside of the races, which I think is really improving the quality. I know, what was it? Jake Wells is in the chat. I know he brought this up. The two of us were literally in a practice server just trying to out hot lap each other's hot lap for hours.
Yeah.
Because we kept passing each other. And it was like neither one of us wanted to log off, like being the second person on that list. So it was a fun time. People were just, having that better connection with each other, and just having better, racing with each other because of it. So I think that plays into a huge part, as well as people just overall like finding consistency.
Well, 100%. Yeah, and go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say it's similar on Xbox right now too, because we started doing like a Friday night practice night, where we all hop in and hop out and do practice, and seeing other people start at a certain time, and then on race day, the very next day, qualifying almost 2.5 seconds faster than the times they were doing just from practicing with others is really cool to see.
It is, and I've noticed you guys were doing that. Matt and Max have been fantastic stepping up on the Xbox side as you start to slowly transition over to PC. I will, and people will probably get tired of hearing me say it, but this league is exactly so far what we've wanted it to be, right? It is community first, to what you said, Fife, to Anderson said. Yeah, you go out on Sunday or Saturday for Xbox, you race hard, and your goal is to beat the other guy. But before that, you're racing together, you're practicing together, you're trying to better each other, to make each other better drivers. And after the race, you're also having the conversation. Even if there was an incident, you're having, I would say 90% of the interactions on the Discord server are people having good interactions. Hey, man, I'm sorry I whacked you. Yeah, dude, I saw what happened. It's totally not your fault. I realized what happened there, right? It's not a fight. And of course, those happen. Once in a while, somebody gets scrappy, and you got to shut them down and tell them, "Hey, man, nobody did this on purpose to you. Calm down." But 90 or 95% of the interactions are so positive, and I love it. I love to see it. It's my favorite. Again, I don't get the time that you guys get in the rig right now. My rig's behind me, and there's no monitor attached to it, so I can't even drive. It's driving me crazy because I actually want to drive right now, and I can't because my monitor is not there. But whatever, it'll be there next month, and maybe I join you guys on some stuff. But my point being is, I love the perspective I have sitting outside of the racing and still watching the Discord every day, checking messages as I work or what have you, and just seeing what people are talking about after races, before races, where they work together like that to Fife and Anderson's point. So I think it's fantastic. Other than that, we talk about the positive, how we come together as a community. Now it's time to rig roast, guys. Now it's time to hammer down and roast some people. Or not roast people, depending on the situation. Let's jump over to the rig roast review. First up is Jet. Now, I had to claim new pictures today so first, anybody watching from the league, I said, anybody before January, if you posted pictures, everybody updates their stuff, delete it, don't worry about it. I'm starting from January 1st on, and that's where we're going to go with rig roast review every week. So I went from the earliest in January, which was like the 5th, and moved on. Well, Jet posted new pictures today that were a little different than the last one. So a TR-160 Mark IV with triple monitor stands, a 2020 Fanatec bundle, an SG Racing SQ shifter, and a PC with 32 gig of RAM, EVGA 3070, and a podium hub with an NRGD wheel. This is a pretty fancy looking rig. Like, I kind of like this rig. Part of what I like about it is you got that subwoofer right behind the pedals.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's like tucked right behind those pedals, so you're gonna feel a little rumble there. It's not a bass shake or anything, but that looks pretty tight to me. That looks pretty clean.
That's very elegant. I like that.
I do.
It's a really nice.
I like it being right in the center of the room too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like tucked in a corner.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
There was a couple of us the other day that were looking at his rig because he posted new photos, and we all thought it looked really good, except the Iowa Cup, and then
the Iowa what? Wait, the Iowa what?
Cup. Yeah, I don't think you have it in the in the bottom right picture. It's an Iowa Cup.
Oh, well, we're not going to harass the guy because it's not Penn State. It's fine. Don't pick on people. It's fine.
That's what this is for.
It's literally called a rope.
Yeah. And then on his counter, he has a pair of pink headphones.
That's fine. He can have pink headphones.
Yeah.
I mean, we can pick on him for it, but pink headphones are okay. I do like the rig though. I think this looks really tight. Like I said, I like that subwoofer. Really nice. I feel like the subwoofer right in front of the pedals is going to give a little feedback for some reason. I don't know why. It just feels like you're going to feel a little something extra than just the vibrations off the pedals. So I like that rig.
Vibrations.
It gets weird that he's got it pointing outwards, so the bass is actually going away from the rig rather than towards it. True. You got you make a good point.
So technically, low frequency sounds like that are omnidirectional, so they actually go all directions. I've learned this from living in an apartment and having a sub and thinking that I could not piss off my neighbor, but there's really no way around it.
Yeah, no, you can't. Yeah, if you have bass, you're going to piss off a neighbor. That's for sure. 100%. And yes, Retro Coffin, anything before January 1st will not be included in rig roast and review, so post those new pictures, guys. Here's why I did that, because I was actually collecting pictures and things and information for today's show, and realized I was going so far back, there were people who were no longer in the Discord. There were people who I had already seen updated pictures from, right? So it's like, why am I going back so far? I'm going to show old stuff. And even Jet posted new pictures over the ones that I had found in January. So I think it's a good looking rig though, to be honest. I think that looks tight. Yeah. Looks really good. Let's move on to Steadfast. Now, some folks post a picture and then they post information about what they're running, like their PC or what have you. Steadfast gave us none of that. He gave us one picture, but there it is. I still think it looks pretty clean. The only thing I question is he's tipped all the way back into an F1 position, I guess. Is that what that's supposed to be? Because it looks to me like he'd be laying down while racing.
Yeah,
So the
it's
rig
metal-
he has,
this is weird.
It's I think it's a next level racing one,
Okay.
and it's a aluminum extrusion rig, but it's designed to swap between an F1 and GT position.
Is he trying to take
That's-
naps while he's driving, or?
He's doing F1. He races
you-
F1, I'm pretty sure.
I know.
I tell you what,
That looks like he would be sleeping.
having a nap position would be perfect if you have a drive-through at Indianapolis. The length of that.
On the pit road.
True.
See, I think that his pedals are up just a little high for my liking. I would lower them just a little bit, and then they'd probably be perfect.
So the question I would have is on this rig is this: how hard is it to rotate this to a GT3 position? Because it looks like you've got to move the seat, you've got to move the monitor stand, and you've got to move the pedal supports that I see in the back there. Like, it seems like it would take a lot of energy to shift this from F1 to GT3 to F1 to GT3, where I could just sit in one position and go, yeah, it's an F1 car, but I don't care. I'm going to drive it like a normal car.
Yeah, I think it's only a couple minutes. You got the quick release handles and
Okay.
just set it up. I'm not an
Also-
expert on it, but
Listen,
I remember looking at it. when
I'm
it
about to
came
be, next month I'm going to be 45 years old. If it takes more than 30 seconds, I am not playing this game because I do not have that much lifetime left that I can spend it. I can spend 3 or 4 minutes screwing with my rig. I'm just saying.
See, it also looks hard to get into. Like, look at that tiny gap that you
Well-
have between the supports and the seats.
Okay,
Granted,
but to be fair,
might
that
be
seat
on
could
peak
slide
on
back.
sliders.
The seat
Yeah.
could slide back. So that's, I get it. But
Heck, my seat
do
slides
like-
back and I don't move it.
I move mine.
I'm lazy.
Well, I
I
slide my
move
seat
mine a
back and
little
I pull it up front. Yeah, I do like the track maps on the wall. That's nice.
I do.
He's kind of set this space aside for sim racing. So I do kind of like that aspect of it. Looks good. He's got another wheel right there in the cubby hole, ready to go for, I would assume, rally or anything like that. So good to go. Good to go.
I also like his track maps. I'm thinking about getting a Mid-Ohio track map.
Retro in the chat says Molson remembers when the world was black and white. Retro, let me tell you something. I grew up, my house had a black and white TV with an antenna on it. I could watch PBS, I could watch CBS, I could watch NBC and ABC, and that was it. And they were all black and white, sir. Yes, I do remember that. Mind your business. Go away. Let's move on. Java the Nut. Again, one picture. Some people provide a lot of information. Some people don't. I kind of like this rig. Again, very tight, right? That's the GT Omega. Fife, you would recognize this rig, right? I think
Yep.
you and I have the same one. Very tight. He's got, it looks like a 34-inch ultra wide on there. The only question I have about this picture, and tell me if I'm wrong. Now, Fife, I'm going to speak to you about this because you and I, again, have that GT Omega rig. I know recently you put casters under it. I'm looking at this rig. There's no casters under it. I'm also looking behind his monitor and I see a TV and a TV stand. So I'm wondering who's hauling this big monster out of the way because they're heavy. Let's not kid each other.
Yeah.
That thing is heavy. I'm wondering who's hauling this thing out of the way to be able to watch that TV when I'm not racing.
I
That's
wouldn't
very
be surprised.
true.
I wouldn't be surprised if that blue mat is like an easy slide. You can just grab it by the ends and just slide that right out of
But they're
there.
so heavy, man. My rig is so heavy. That GT Omega stuff is not light. Like, how much weight can you put on one of those mats before they won't move? You know what I mean?
It looks like an
You
OSHA.
can have it on
violation
those
waiting
like
to happen.
those like little furniture sliders.
Maybe.
Those little foam things. But yeah,
Maybe.
other than
It's-
that, I don't know how. The funny thing is I regret going to casters mainly because I'm on carpet. I thought it would make it easier to roll around, and it actually is no easier than those
Really?
stabilizer
Nope.
feet I had before. Yeah,
Really?
on hardwood it would be perfect, but yeah, on carpet it's not
Oh,
any
dude,
easier.
I can drag. You got the same casters I did, didn't you?
Mhm.
Dude, I can drag that thing around like a monster. You want to watch me? I'll change the camera. We'll do it right now.
Do it.
It just rolls. Like, and granted, I'm on carpet too, but I can just.
Yeah, no, it rolls easy. It's just I thought it was going to be easier than the stabilizer feet. I think they were track racer ones, but I guess those on carpet are easy to slide.
Well, I want to watch this 45-year-old man hurt his back. Let's.
I'm not gonna hurt my back. It's not that. It's on wheels, dude. Come on.
Oh, is it on wheels?
But
I don't
listen,
see the wheels.
Overall, I think that looks pretty clean, right? Maybe a little
He's
cable
got
management.
pedals and wheels. Yeah.
Maybe a
If
little
he's
cable
moving it
management.
all the time, though, there's no point in
True.
Yeah, that is true.
finding the wires.
But yeah, I think a little cable management. But other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Again, I got that 34-inch ultra wide. I'm just very curious how he moves it. I would be
Is
curious.
that a VR
to know.
headset on the seat, or is that just?
There's a headset
It looks like
there.
his,
I don't know what it is.
his headset.
I think I'm seeing the shadow of it and thinking that's like an extra strap or something.
Oh yeah, it's just no, it's a headset hanging there. So
Yeah.
I would just be very curious to know how he moves it. That would be my only question. So we'll see. Maybe Java will tell us. Moving
Inquiring
on,
minds want to know.
RWR Lego with the couch roller. Look at this.
Oh my god.
Oh, I saw that.
I think that is fantastic. Look at this. Like, I don't know. So what happens when you hit the brakes? Do the brakes move forward, or does he push back into the couch?
Probably push a little back in the couch. The funny thing is my brother, outer known, he hadn't been racing in a little bit, but his setup is almost exactly like this, just on a couch, and it works way better than you think it would.
Really? No kidding.
Yep. You're no sore back. A thick couch pillow like that.
Because he's
Super
doing one of
comfy.
these, right? He's doing one of these. He's pimping it, and he's pimping it when he's driving, right? It's like
I don't see.
You just
people drive
the wheel
like
stand
that.
as close. I mean, you're trapped on the couch. There's any emergency happens, you're not getting off the couch anytime soon. But no, it is actually a pretty comfortable setup doing it that way. You're just sitting far from the TV usually, though.
Yeah, I found that. It's like I feel like unless I'm a lot closer to the screen, it just doesn't feel comfortable. Then
Well, you can move the couch closer to the TV.
But here's what scares me.
At
the
that
feng
point, though,
shui.
The feng shui. No, what scares me is this looks a lot like Willie's couch that he was showing us before the stream.
Yeah, that one.
Oh,
Right
oh
there.
my
Kind
god!
of like
retro-
I mean, look, there's a camera and a mic. This might be kind of a casting couch situation.
Retro was talking about that.
Leather.
If you look at the chat.
I just saw
Like,
that.
often.
Leave the retro. I do like that peeking out down at the bottom. I can see the sim racing shoes. Good for you, dude. I do the
Yeah.
same thing. So
Only thing.
Oh, you guys wear shoes?
I do have to question his peripherals. Turtle Beach headphones, Logitech keyboard.
well, hold on now. Wait, hold on now. I have a Logitech
I
in my
used the
rig.
Turtle. I
Only
use Turtle Beach headphones.
because yeah, I had Turtle Beach for Xbox, but I do have a Logitech wireless keyboard on my rig only because it's easier when I'm sitting there. I have a mechanical keyboard on my desk, but I can't reach that from my rig. So I can kind of see where that would be a second keyboard, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's got the touchpad on it and everything. It makes it easy to switch games or to do stuff that you need a keyboard and mouse for. So I get it. All right. I think we have one more. Mr. Adam Willie.
Oh my!
How many
god.
Mountain Dew
Of
cans
course,
are in
of
this
course.
thing?
There's
Mountain
Mountain
Dew
Dew
is
cans.
there.
We got to get the Mountain Dew cans in there, right?
Listen, I rearranged.
But
Okay.
hold on. Here's my question.
I
But
rearranged.
wait, hold on. Hold on a second, Adam. I grabbed this in January when you had said you had already rearranged. Now, here's my only question for you on this. I get it. I saw your rearrangement, and actually, it works really well because you got yourself kind of in a corner, and it fits, right?
Mm-hmm.
How far can you? Are you an owl? Are you a nocturnal predatory bird? Because those
What do you mean?
monitors are so far to the side. I'm like, how is he
Oh.
even looking at that without cranking his neck in a 360-degree circle?
Okay, listen, right? Listen. So the one on the far left is actually the one I am on now. So this is for
Okay.
Recovery Drive or any other games that I want to play.
Gotcha.
The middle monitor is for Discord, if I'm listening to music, YouTube if I'm on the rig, and then the TV is nothing but race stuff.
Okay.
I just
I
have a
just-
lot of questions about that monitor stand. Like, is that homemade?
Yes. It's actually not done. I still have to put this over it,
What is
which
that?
is just cloth.
Okay.
It'll make it not look wooden.
So you're talking about
Make
the
it
one
look
that's
a little
holding in front
nicer.
of you're talking about the monitor in front of the rig, right?
Yeah.
In front of the seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that
there you
right
go.
there.
There you go. There you go. So you're gonna wrap it up, make it look nice. Okay. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of down with this because you were able to build yourself a corner. My only thought when I saw this was, how far does he have to crank his neck to the left all the time to look at that monitor? And therefore, does he only sleep on his right side, or like to adjust things? Do you have to go to a chiropractor like once a week? What's the deal with the neck cranks? That was what scared. I felt concerned for you was the thing about the neck cranks. That's what it came down to.
Yeah, because you thought that I actually used it while I was in the rig.
Well, I don't know if you're hauling off to the side to look at stuff, right?
No, it just has my anime background.
Of
Well,
course.
I have nothing up on this monitor.
Are you a nocturnal predatory bird? Coffin says in the chat.
Eh,
When he had his operation, they added a few extra powers.
Right? And that is the end of Rig Roast review this week, ladies and gentlemen. It was fantastic. I love putting these together. It's one of my favorites.
oh, actually, you didn't see the best part.
What's the best part? There's a dartboard. Yeah, you were throwing darts earlier, literally
Yeah.
during the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to
No, that
watch
was before we started.
Live updates.
Very
Yeah.
good. All right, folks. Well, I think we are going to wrap it up for this week. Alton Park coming this week, this Sunday, to Box 3 Motorsports. It's going to be a great race. Alton Park, a 30-minute, very, very fast sprint race for AM and Pro-Am drivers, and Pro and Silver's running 45s. And as I said, and I will post it in the chat again, the finale, the 12 hours at Mount Panorama coming on Saturday. But you need to watch that over at twitch.tv/Trackalicious. They are covering that race. Please go support those guys. They are fantastic. We've had a partnership with them for a while. A lot of good people. If you're not driving, go watch. I'll have the race on. Even if I can't sit and watch the whole time, I am going to have that race on during the course of Saturday. So please go watch that. And Fife, what's up for Xbox, Fife? What's coming up next?
We got 2 more races. So we're at Silverstone this Saturday, and it's going to be a nighttime race. So that'll
Awesome.
be fun. And then finishing off at Coda. And then we're in the midst of planning a St. Patrick's Day themed multi-class race
Excellent.
for March. We're figuring out which weekend is the best, because I know a lot of people are going to be drinking heavily this Saturday of St. Patrick's Day. So we might do it a week before that.
Do they wait till then?
I don't know. That's probably just one continuous thing starting on Friday through Saturday.
Oh, okay. Start every week and it's fine. Trackalicious is in our chat right now. Again, guys, go watch them. Maybe, I'm not going to cover the whole race. Maybe I'll shoot over there with them and see if Eric will let me in the chat room for a moment during the course on Saturday. I was going to cover it, but I think their broadcaster really wanted to. And so we're going to let them take that over. But I will maybe try and jump in with them real quick if Saturday isn't too busy. But again, we're at Alton Park this coming week. Recovery Drive will return next Thursday. I'm going to try and get more steady. Hopefully real life calms down a little bit. The last 2 weeks were just brutal for me. There was no way I could do this. And I'm actually happy I didn't do it last week, because I ended up getting 5 phone calls when we would have been doing the show. So that would have been bad. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this week. We are back on Sunday here at Box3 Motorsports. Don't forget to hit Trackalicious on Saturday for that 12 hours of Bathurst. I think you guys are fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thank you to Davies. Thank you to Anderson, Adam Willie, B-Fife, and Justin Secum. I got it. Boom. I got it. Thank you guys for joining me this week. And of course, you guys are always welcome back. We will be back for Recovery Drive next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You guys have yourselves a wonderful week, and be sure to join us here this coming weekend for all the racing action at Box 3 Motorsports. Have a good one.